Welcome to Grawlix Nights, the Grawlix Podcast live show. I'm Randy.
I'm Melanie.
And I'm Jesse.
What's going on, everybody? I'm sorry, I just clicked away and my face got dark, didn't it? My bad. We've got an exciting show. I can't even get through the intro here. It's exciting, though.
We're going to talk about the Flash again.
Oh, are we?
No.
We could, I guess, if we wanted to. Yeah, exciting topic. Listen, you can see the title of this. We're just winging it. What's up, Savannah?
Hey, hey, hey.
Hey, hey, hey. So is Fat Albert, like... I'm assuming, not that he was really relevant, I'm assuming Fat Albert has since been canceled. Just in general? Or no?
I don't know.
Or do people more associate it with that Saturday Night Live guy?
What if they recast the voice actor for Fat Albert? Because it's Bill Cosby.
Yeah, well, I mean, is it Keenan or Kel? I don't know. The Saturday Night Live guy who played him in a movie once, so
Oh, yeah.
I'm guessing it just would be him now.
Well, there was a live action Fat Albert, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Why?
I never watched it, but...
Why did they try to do that? That should have been canceled at that point.
Yes. What you say. Savannah she did say she watched, Babadook. The Babadook and Be My Cat. I haven't seen Be My Cat, but Melanie was telling me about it because you were telling Melanie about it, and we watched a trailer for it, and it looked interesting.
Isn't John Wick the Babadook?
Is he?
That's what they keep calling him, at least in the first one. Maybe the second one. He's the boogeyman. He's the Babadook.
Okay. Sure.
I thought it was like child abuse or something.
The Babadook?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean the Babadook is in the movie Babadook. It's an allegory. In John Wick, it's just violence.
Yeah. And isn't it like a house with legs?
No, that's the... sorry, go ahead.
No, you say it.
No, I'm done.
I can't think of what the actual title is.
That's like the Baba Yaga's house, though, isn't it?
That's it.
The Baba Yaga. I'm not the Babadook. Yeah, okay, so John Wick is the Baba Yaga.
Well, the Babadook seems like a boogeyman type character.
Maybe it is. Now I need to know, what is John Wick? Is he the Babadook? Oh, he's the Baba Yaga.
Yeah.
Huh? Who knew?
Yep.
John Wick probably knew.
Hey, how are you two? Well, since Savannah's in the chat, how are you three doing tonight?
I'm good.
Doing all right. Made it through this crazy week.
Yeah?
These weeks are just crazy, man. When was this eclipse? Was that last weekend? Or week?
Yeah. Hold on. I don't really remember when. I didn't see it, so.
What crazy cosmic energy is going on now? Because it's just, kids be crazy. People be crazy. Everyone's crazy. Thursdays can get bent.
Yeah.
Right, they can. It says so on my desktop. Mm-hmm. I still have that text file right in the middle of my desktop screen to remind me.
Just make sure, yeah.
Well, hey.
Yes.
We've been watching things, just not the things we had planned to talk about tonight. Melanie and I are behind on Loki, so we still have not watched episode 2.
I'm caught up on Loki, but I forgot that we were going to watch Doctor Who for this week, so I did not do that.
Right. I mean, I think we said it. Maybe we didn't.
I think we did, and I just did not like. I went in there, did a couple laps, and then it was like, yeah, we're gone.
Yeah. I do that all the time.
Yeah, Savannah said it was last Saturday. And her life is completely upside down.
I'm blaming the eclipse. I said it. I don't know.
It's the alignment.
I said
of
it,
the-
but I don't know
yeah.
that means anything. It's the alignment of what?
of the planets. You know,
Oof.
like in the Doctor Who episodes we're not talking about.
Oh yeah,
Right.
yeah. I had like a third grader tell me that like this third grader just comes in and starts talking about space and stuff and makes me feel utterly insignificant before we even start the day, because he's just like, in like 5 billion years when the Earth is a desert planet, something's going to crash into Mars, and then it'll become a gas giant, and it will have rings just like Saturn. But none of us will be around to see it. And I'm like, cool.
Yeah, well, he's right, because when the sun starts to expand, it's going to dry up all the water, and we'll die, like, well before it
Yeah.
hits that point.
I was going to say, was he talking to Melanie?
I
She's the type of person that drops real truths on kids.
I get that action before that second cup of coffee even kicks in, man. I'm always like, what? Good morning. It's like he doesn't even say hello. He just starts in on space. And I'm like, I love that you love space, but man, I got to feel like a human being for a day here.
I don't want to hear anything about space unless it's Tim Curry talking about going to the last place. What was it? The last place. Going to the place that the last place that hasn't been ruined by capitalism.
Oh,
Yeah.
Space.
space. Yeah.
Oh, that clip is gold.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about? It's from, I don't know, was it like one of the Command and Conquer games or whatever? But it's so good. You know what?
Can we play
If
it, or
you
are we
don't
allowed
know
to
the
play it?
clip. I don't know, but I'm gonna do it.
Okay. Hopefully we don't get in trouble. But it's great.
Tim Curry escapes capitalism. Okay, is that just the clip? I need. Oh man, it's so good. Hold on. Is there one without the music? I know this is not fascinating a stream to watch right now, but listen. It's so good.
By 2027, they're building a hotel set to open by 2027 in space.
They
That's
might open
soon.
But it's gonna be freaking what's his name? Amazon.
Oh, Bezos.
Yeah, it'll be
Yeah.
Bezos,
and Bezos.
and Musk and their friends, who are not people you probably want to hang out with.
Right.
So they're going to be the people that tried to go look at the Titanic.
But you can go ahead and go on there because it's just going to mess them up anyway. We're not supposed to live in space. It messes up all kinds of stuff in your body.
Well, Holly was telling me about the abyssal zone in the ocean, and how like most creatures have like a limit to how big they can get, because otherwise they crush themselves under their own weight, kind of thing. But that doesn't pertain to the abyssal zone, and so Cthulhu.
Yeah. Yeah. I can see that.
Okay.
Got it?
Yes. Tab. Also share audio. First off, let me know if you can hear the audio here.
Commander.
Yep.
Okay. This is the best clip of anyone ever. Just before he does the space line, he almost loses it, and that makes it so much better.
Commander, you've rained on my glorious parade. For this, I'm sending everything I've got at you. But I won't let you have the satisfaction of catching me. I'm escaping to the one place that hasn't been corrupted by capitalism. face!
That is great. He is trying to hold it together, and they did
Yeah.
it. They were like, they were not like, you want another take?
No,
Like,
no.
no, I do not. I do not.
There are clips of that without all the extra noise going on, but it's so good. And the like, yeah, he almost loses it. I was reading an article about it actually, by one of the women that was also an actor in that and was there for a filming of a bunch of it, including that. And apparently, they'd have them come in and they just shoot like a ton of scenes, like super long days, just a couple days, but like just crank out a bunch of scenes. And I watched a bunch of clips from this because whatever, it's some like Command and Conquer game where then this footage would pop up and whatever. First off, he's chewing the scenery in a lot of them. It looks like he's just like whatever. And it also seems like maybe the tone of the game kind of suits that. But this lady said that it was towards the end of the day, very late in the shooting, and as soon as he did the line, like he almost lost it. He did the line, and everybody kept laughing, and yeah, they just
And they were like, keep it.
Yep, just rolled with it. It's so good. So apparently we're talking about the work of Jim Curry tonight.
And space and second or third graders who scare the bejesus out of us.
I think it was the Space Hotel got us there first, or were we already there? And then the Space.
I think we
it
were
doesn't
already
matter.
talking about space, and then Space Hotel, and then
The one place that hasn't been corrupted. You could tell that's an old clip, though.
oh yeah,
Right.
I vaguely remember that game, even maybe, or at least that series of games, because I remember like that kind of like cinematic popping up.
I think it was Command and Conquer 2. I don't know. I've never like strategy type games were not really my bag, so I've never played them. But man, well, hey, let's talk a little bit about this since we didn't watch any of the stuff that we would have otherwise been talking about tonight. Let's talk about what we did watch or consume or whatever. Who wants to start? I can start, but you're gonna have to put up with a bunch of talk about the Ring movies. So
Oh yeah, go ahead.
okay, I'll start
Let's
first.
get it over with.
Get it over with. Pull that rip that Band-Aid off.
So it's October, and trying to juice up my movie watching. Of course, trying to watch some horror movies since it's October. I think last week we talked about Terrifier and Cooties, so I don't have to talk about that. Oh, we did watch a short fan film that is a sequel to Wes Craven's New Nightmare. So it's a Nightmare on Elm Street fan film called Dylan's New Nightmare, and it follows the kid from New Nightmare. But they got the actor who actually played the kid, who was also in Pet Sematary, like the kid from Pet Sematary and Wes Craven's New Nightmare.
I think
Well.
he was in a couple Full Houses too.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And he's uber jacked now, which is weird. I feel
Have
like
mercy.
I feel like young child actors they'll go two or three ways. There's the unfortunate like druggy way, which is or they either blow up like balloons or they get super ripped. Like
Jack Osborne.
right. Anyway, that's interesting. It's you can find it on YouTube. Dylan's New Nightmare. It's a 30-minute fan film. The guy they got to do Freddy, they didn't get.
And Englund or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the guy they got does a pretty good impression without like. I mean, he's doing a Freddy impression, but like. I feel like he's not straining too hard to like make it sound unnatural, or to the point where it sounds unnatural. Yeah, I don't know. It's okay. It's interesting for a fan production. Obviously they probably didn't have a huge budget. I think they probably did a like Kickstarter or something to fund it. But I made Melanie watch it because I know she likes New Nightmare.
I do, and I like recognizing kids when they get older.
You're really good about it.
I am.
We'll see
I
somebody
try.
and you'll be like, "That's that kid with blah 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 blah." Some movie from when they were like 5, and I'm like, "How could you recognize that? A person that was like 30 years ago."
Because people's faces always look the same. They do to me. Show me a baby book and I'll pick you out. I have it just. I'm good at it. I can always do it.
It'll go from a scene to another scene, and I'll be like, "Who's that?" And it's the same person from the last scene. I don't have that skill.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, what did you think of the short film?
It was okay. Some of the acting was mostly the therapist lady. The therapist lady was like somebody's aunt or something. That's
Well,
why
you
she
know-
got in that movie. You know.
You know what's interesting? Because I did find her kind of terrible too.
Yeah.
She plays the mom in Friday the 13th. Is it part 5, 6? Whichever one has the telepathic girl. So they have the like Jason versus Carrie basically was the concept, right? But she has telekinetic powers. And her mom in that movie is that lady, like is the same actress.
Wow.
I was surprised by that because I don't think she was that bad in Friday the 13th. But maybe that's not fair.
Maybe she lost it because she didn't use it.
Could be. Is that how it works with acting?
I have no idea.
Okay, well, I feel like I regret bringing that one up. That's kind of a non. Yeah, I mean, it was okay. I feel like there's like one good scene. There's one cool Freddy scene. It opens with an okay Freddy scene. The story, the problem is it's just a short film, so it doesn't. It almost feels like it sets up what you would expect to be kind of okay, interesting premise, like kind of a premise that would not be out of place in a Nightmare on Elm Street film. But it's only like 30 minutes, so they don't really it doesn't really get to go there.
It's more like a pilot episode.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. I used to be a lot harsher on, like, if people made a really good fan production, I'm like, well, why not just make it your own thing? Why does it have to be a fan production?
Right.
But I don't know. I think I've laid off that attitude because it's like, it doesn't matter. You probably weren't going to make anything off of it regardless, so might as well do a fan thing that you can't make a lot of money off of. Do what you love.
Right.
There's no value to art, so just do what you enjoy. That's
Yeah.
the only value to be had. I might have an album coming out. I don't know, by the way. That reminds me. I probably should have uploaded it to be distributed if I wanted it to actually hit the digital stores by Halloween.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if I'll make that deadline. Doesn't matter. I'll probably put something up on Bandcamp regardless. Okay, well, I talked for a little bit. Who's next? Jesse, what'd you watch?
We could talk about Rick and Morty. We could talk about recasting
Yeah.
that, because the season 7 started and there's new voices for Rick and or Morty, but you don't really get to hear a whole lot of Morty in that first episode because it's all about Rick trying to have an intervention but not call it an intervention with, I'm going to have to say it out loud, Mr. Poopy Butthole. that was kind of painful. Yeah.
Aren't you glad you're a fan?
Yeah,
we
I'm so
lost
glad.
we lost a viewer just now, and it's because you said poopy butthole.
It
I bet.
probably is. I've been canceled.
They're like, I thought this
I've
was a
been
clean
canceled.
show.
Yeah. Well, I mean, none of those words were bad, but I suppose putting them together was a little risky.
It's a name of a character. Can't
Yeah.
be avoided.
Really can't. And yeah, so he starts out the episode and he's like, really fell down on my luck, ooh-ee, But yeah, the new Rick sounded pretty darn good. Only time I can tell a difference is like sometimes when he yells. And he doesn't do a whole lot of yelling in this first episode. So
That's actually what I noticed. I haven't seen the first episode, but the trailer they released,
yeah.
that is what I noticed. Is he sounded pretty good, except for when he like. I feel like Roiland probably put more of an actual yell into it, whereas this guy puts like a voice actor yell into it, where it's like you don't necessarily want to be screaming at the microphone or anything,
Right.
but it feels held back.
Yeah.
It sounded a little off in the trailer, but yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's probably trying not to damage his own vocal cords.
Right, right.
So the Rick yell doesn't sound like a Rick yell because you shouldn't do a Rick yell if you want to stay in the industry.
Right. Or a whole bunch of other things, but you know,
Right. Yeah. That's fair. Yeah.
Roiland could give you a whole list of things you probably shouldn't do
or
if you want to
even-
stay in the industry.
Yeah. Or even be accused of if you want to stay in the industry, you know? So, yeah, it was interesting because they didn't, they announced the new voice actors and then they also, like, they stripped the created by thing. They
Right.
just put Rick and Morty. They don't say co-created
Right.
by Harmon and Roiland. So. It was a solid first episode, I thought. It was interesting. I did not expect a Hugh Jackman appearance, you know, and in a classic Rick and Morty fashion, Hugh Jackman is like way over the top and you wouldn't expect it. Of course, he's playing Hugh Jackman. He's not like a character.
Right.
He is Hugh Jackman. And they basically do like The Hangover, but you can remember everything. You know, like you're
Okay.
watching The Hangover happen almost, just like what you're doing. Because like you see this group assembled and then they just get riggedy wrecked.
Nice.
Yeah. And then there's a predator. Because there's a predator, you know.
Of course, you know, whatever, headlines. You can't go by headlines, but I'd seen some headlines about, Rick and Morty getting bad reviews or something, but, I mean, you can't,
It
I don't put too much stock into headlines like that.
seemed pretty Rick and Morty to me. It didn't
Right.
feel like it lost really anything.
Yeah, that seems like the kind of, I don't know. That seems like one of those there's just some headlines you read where you're like, if I click the story, there's not going to be anything worthwhile in there. That seems like I feel like people just throw out these articles that are kind of nothing articles, but the headline is meant to sway general opinion, and I feel like that's weird. That's weird. I don't understand, like, that's not news for sure. Mm-hmm. Although I'm complaining about news being used to sway general opinion, and that is kind of probably the primary actual purpose of most news. But anyway.
Well, and it's just interesting because this is not the kind of season premiere that's meant to matter either. It's just like a funny episode of Rick and Morty kind of thing. It's not like, oh, the next installment of the evil Morty saga. It's
Right.
not the next installment of, oh, Rick's trying to find Prime Rick so he can kill Prime Rick or whatever. Because of that, it's just like, oh, can you get him out of the living room? We trip over him.
Right. Okay. Yeah, it's not a lore episode.
No. Other than you got Bird Person, and Bird Person is now a bird father, so he has bird daughter. So I mean, you got some like callback characters. Because I was like, hey Axton, check this out, and he's like, what is all this? I haven't watched an episode since Pickle Rick. And he didn't even know who Mr. Poopy Butthole was, and he didn't know about Space Beth either. So I was like, oh yeah, I forget there is kind of a loose canon to the show, even though it's not that canonical. You know, like they'll just kind of keep rolling, but you do kind of gotta know some things. Is like, how do I explain Poopy Butthole? Like that's a convoluted episode in and of itself.
That was post Pickle Rick. That surprises me.
No, I just don't think he's seen a whole lot of that. I think that was like
Right.
season 1 or 2. So
Yeah.
yeah, but like trying to explain what he is like, well, he's just a guy, but the conceit is that he's always been there, and yet
Right.
we never heard about him. But really, he has always been there. But it's also he's the red herring of the whole episode.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just them playing with the format, really.
Yeah.
Ooh. Well, hey, you know what else I watched? Actually, let's talk about this. Melanie and I still have 2 episodes to go, I believe. But The Fall of the House of Usher, which is Mike Flanagan's new series on Netflix. And so far, I think it's pretty great.
All I could think of when I saw that title was like it was some kind of biopic about the rise and fall of the music artist Usher.
It's so funny. I seen a Threads post about that exact thing today.
Oh,
Somebody
yeah.
was making that exact joke.
That's where my brain went.
But yeah, I think isn't it every episode is kind of themed around a different Poe story?
Yeah. Yeah, and in that, like, Mike Flanagan TV show adaptation way where it's, like, I mean, we're not getting a retelling of all these Poe stories, but, like, they're themed around it. Like, there's the Telltale Heart, which one of the children of the family is working on this, like, it's like a pacemaker, but like a futuristic pacemaker type thing, really. And without getting too much into spoilers, I guess it's not too spoilery to say it kind of establishes right off the bat what's going to happen in the first episode. But pretty much one of the kids gets knocked off in one way or another every episode. And the one in which that character gets knocked off is called the Telltale Heart. And it even does a little bit of the Telltale Heart thing where she's hearing this sound that's kind of driving her mad. But there's like the Murder at Rue Morgue and Mask of Red Death. Like,
The Black Cat.
yeah, they're not exactly retellings of the story or straight up adaptations, but they're just kind of like taking themes for it.
Like referential to it.
Right. And it's interesting because as a Flanagan show, like, first off, it's really good and it's a big ensemble piece. Like, once you work with him, I don't think you don't get a escape. Like, he brings the same people back over and over.
He's
And I
like
was
Kevin
reading-
Smith.
Right, exactly. I was reading before the series went up, like 21 or 22 actors that he's worked with previous stuff he brought to this. And I was like, first off, that's a lot of characters. He likes a big ensemble cast. He really does.
Yeah.
But he's good with telling those. He's good with telling those kind of stories where it will jump between lots of characters. This one is probably, it's definitely got to be like the most kind of violent or gory of any of the things he's produced so far, or he's directed.
I mean, I guess yeah, overall, but there's some of the shows that he's in. There isn't a whole lot of cast, or it's whatever the stuff is kept in one
Right.
area, and other than that, it's like memories or something. You know what I mean?
Well,
And some
right.
of the gore in those is pretty hardcore. Like, have you seen the Gerald's Game?
Yeah, but that's like centralized to, like, there's one super memorable gory thing,
Yeah.
and it's also like one character in a room the whole movie
Right.
for the most part.
Right.
But
Yeah, that's what I'm talking
no, yeah, with the movies, sure, yes, but with the TV series, it's
Oh,
almost
okay.
always a big cast.
Yeah. No, I just meant the gore. I mean,
Right.
there's, yeah. There's still the same, like, kind of gore, just there's not as much of it.
Right. Also, and I think it's just not that kind of necessarily that kind of story, but I'm sure it pleases all the people that complained about, like, Midnight Mass being too talky with monologues, because there is talkiness with it in this, but I feel like it's a little bit more plot driven. Versus it is character driven, but versus strictly like kind of character driven. Like Midnight Mass, like there was plot, but if you really wanted to, you could run through that plot pretty quick. Most of that series was characters talking about stuff. So
Right. I don't think he can not do character development though. That's like his whole big thing, really.
oh, and he's so good at it though. Like
Oh, I know.
yeah,
I know.
yeah, I'm good with that.
Right.
But this one seems, I mean, if you're comparing it to like Bly Manor or Midnight Mass or like any of the other ones, it feels a little bit more plot driven, less monologue-y. If you ignore the like framing device of a guy is telling another guy all of this stuff.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I don't know. Whatever. Point is, we still have 2 episodes to go. Maybe it'll crap the bed in the last 2 episodes, but I kind of doubt it. And so far, I'm really liking it. I don't know where it sits compared to his other series. I don't know where I'd put it, but I pretty high, higher than Bly Manor. I think that's been my least favorite so far.
Me as well. I think it's maybe better than Hill House, but I don't know. But
Right.
maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you like horror stuff, first off, you should be watching everything that Flanagan does.
I agree.
But you should definitely check this out. And binge through the whole well, you know what? It doesn't matter. Netflix isn't going to give him another season of that because he's leaving after this one. This is his last Netflix project because he's been under contract with them for a long time. He's going to Amazon Studios next. And he will be working on a movie adaptation of a fairly modern Stephen King short story, something, The Life of Jake or something like that. I don't know what it, Life of John. And television series adaptation of The Dark Tower.
Oh, yeah. He's going to
Yeah.
be busy for a while.
Yeah.
And I don't remember what the third thing is, but there's another thing. Like his next 3 projects are all lined up. So yeah.
Well, I'm kind of excited because if anyone should even get close to the Dark Tower again, it's that guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Apparently he's been working for a long time trying to crack it.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
it's one of those.
Oh, yeah.
I've
it's
never read
hard.
the books. Yeah.
Oh, it's so weird. It's like a post-apocalyptic Western, but it's so full of bizarre, almost, H.P. Lovecraftian horror nightmare stuff. And it's just not like anything else that Stephen King has really written. And it weaves into so many of the other books. Like, it ties into The Dark Tower.
It's really weird.
Right.
That makes me excited to see what Flanagan would do because it also then, I mean, everything Flanagan does is either a direct adaptation of Stephen King or very clearly Stephen King inspired. So it's also kind of exciting to see what he does with it to get a Flanagan also playing in these other genres. Like, what does
Right.
he
Yeah.
do in that area?
Right. I love him. I love his like story or whatever so much because, yeah, what was it? Absentia was like, he's like, this is it. This is my like only shot. If this doesn't work, then I'd give up or whatever, But look at him now. It's such a
Right.
happy story.
Right, right. Mark Hamill is in House of Usher.
Oh,
And he's kind of awesome, I think. He plays like a gravelly voiced, I mean, that's, I guess, not a stretch, but a gravelly voiced kind of stoic guy. He's like their lawyer, right? But he's also like, I don't know, their fixer and just like their family business guy that's like, if they need something taken care of, they talk to him or whatever. And he's pretty cool. And I'm also kind of hopeful that he will now be added to the collection of Flanagan actors and will show up in everything else that Flanagan does, like the other ones.
That'd be great. I think they described him one time as like he'll come and get rid of a body for you and clear you of the murder, whatever,
Right,
charges.
right. Yeah. Anyway, whatever. Good show. I like it. There's some pretty grisly stuff in in some of those episodes.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, Jesse.
Hey,
What else
what's
you
up?
watch? This is
Oh,
the show. Where I think this is the
yeah.
show.
Yeah,
We're just yeah.
Yeah, so I watched a documentary. It's been on my radar for a while, and it finally came out, or it's been out, and now you can actually watch it. I don't know. It's called Temple of Art, and it's on Amazon. I don't think it's streaming really anywhere else, and so I was like, oh, I can actually watch it. So I did, and it's interesting. It's got like a lot of creators that I like and respect, kind of thing. It's got like Grant Morrison, it's got Kevin Smith, it's got Neil Gaiman, it's got Amanda Palmer, it's got all sorts of just a who's who, and they just are all like chatting about the creation of art, why it's important, that kind of stuff, the ups and downs of it, how it can take you to a dark place, but it's also somehow you can get some of your best stuff out of that. And yeah. And so it was, I don't know what else to say about it. It's just a good documentary of people talking about what it means to make art.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I hadn't even heard of it.
Like Kevin Smith, of course, he tells that story of how, well, not even that story, just kind of reiterates, and he's not the only one saying it, that like half the time it's not about talent, it's about wanting to do it, kind of thing. Like, and that's Kevin Smith's whole thing, is like, it's not about me being the most talented guy in the room, and yet here I am.
Right.
Right.
I mean, if what you want to do is yoga hosers, maybe you shouldn't though.
Yeah. Sometimes maybe you need an editor.
What? That's
or just a really good friend that should say, maybe don't do this one, kid.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not. A lot of people can be very sour on Kevin Smith, and I'm generally not one of those people. But Yoga Hosers was terrible. This is so terrible.
I've never seen it, but I could have done it without Tusk myself.
I mean, Tusk at least, like, it's ridiculous, but I don't know. There was merit, although somebody really needed to direct Johnny, what's his name? Johnny Depp a little bit, because Johnny Depp was in a different movie when in that movie. He was in something totally different. I don't know what he was doing. But
Clerks 3, I don't know if you ever watched Clerks 3. But it is like, it's more indie looking and sounding than the original Clerks was. Like,
weird.
It just looks and feels weird comparatively to the other ones.
That's
what was Cop Out? Cop Out, I think, broke him.
Oh yeah.
And he's talked about that a lot and stuff, that he contemplated, like, he was kind of done. He figured it was done. And then, like, with Tusk and everything after, he's just been making, like, it seems, I'm sure, because it takes a lot of effort to get a movie made, even if you're, known in the industry. So he cares, but they definitely seem like passion projects that he's just like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, let's do this. This will be fun. As opposed to, like, I don't know.
Well, and then he does like these big social media posts about, really the exciting thing about this was like reconnecting with Ben Affleck or something,
Right.
It had nothing. It's like less about the end product and more about the fun he's having on set.
Right.
Which,
sure.
It's probably fine too.
Yeah. If you can do that and not go broke funding these smaller movies, have fun. It's like what I guess it's like what I was talking about with the fan films and stuff. Like, why not? What's it matter? If you're enjoying doing it, that's worth doing it. Not everything has to be a monetizable thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you got money to throw at whatever you think is fun, then throw it.
Yeah.
directed at me.
You take fun and you shove that dollar bill in its G-string. I don't know why that's where I went with it, but I did. We're getting seedy all of a sudden. Temple of Art.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah. Go ahead and watch it. It's something.
Cool.
we turned it into a Kevin Smith tirade.
Stick the dollar bill that is your hour and 40 minutes into the G-string of Temple of Art.
Why not?
Yeah, ew, what is this character I'm doing all of a sudden? I don't like it. It's not, I don't like it. Well, I watched, is it Juon? Not Juon. Is it Ringu? I don't know. The Ring. The original Japanese movies, not the American remakes. I watched the first one, or the first theatrical one, I should say. I did a deep dive because I was like, well, how many Ring movies are there? And of course, there are more than I realized. And a bunch of them are on Tubi. So I was like, cool.
As I say, if it's Japanese, they've done it and redone it and redone it, and they just keep doing it. Because why not?
So this is an interesting thing, and it's definitely in Western movies now, and especially, I mean, it was always kind of there with remakes, but more so than that, the whole thing of like doing a sequel to a movie in a franchise and ignoring a large chunk of the movies in the middle of the franchise. That I feel like is still relatively new here. I could be wrong. I'm sure there's examples of it in the past, but something I was fascinated by was, so The Ring is based on a book. And they also made The Spiral, or Risen, something. The Spiral, which is based on the second book in the series. So they did, and that takes place immediately after the first movie, and it's a direct sequel. This movie, they made The Ring and The Spiral at the same time, different like writers and directors, but same cast members of the characters that transferred over, and same production team, and released them on the same day, which seems like kind of dumb. It seems like just a terrible decision, but it's kind of fascinating. Maybe it was like an experiment.
I mean, I could see that if you wanted to do a double feature, but like, why?
Yeah, to release the first and a sequel the same day. It's really wild. And The Ring, of course, Ring became very popular, and The Spiral flopped. And I watched both of those. So The Ring became popular, Spiral flopped, and a year later they released Ring 2, which is a direct sequel to The Ring, ignoring
That
Spiral
is also a direct sequel, yeah.
Yeah. So I was super fascinated by that. So I've watched those three in the last 3 days. I watched like one a day. The Spiral is, man, it's out there. Like, I see kind of why it flopped. First off, it doesn't have the same tone at all. Like, it's hard to really call it a horror movie. There's definitely horror movie stuff going on, but it's more of a drama, and it's not super engaging. And then at the end, they like really ramp up, it takes some weird turns. And I could see how it would work in novel form. It kind of makes sense. But in my mind, it's like an Exorcist 2 thing, where Exorcist 2, the director didn't even like the first movie. And he's just like, well, forget everything that made that work. We're going to do this weird idea. And that's not the case here, but that's what this feels like, where it's like The Spiral is like, well, I'm not concerned about what made the first one creepy, because of course they probably didn't really even know they were being made at the same time by different people. But we're going to tell this other crazy story. But then what's interesting is watching Ring 2, which I watched today. Same actors again. Same characters that were in The Spiral, but it's a totally different story than Spiral. And it's not based on the source material. It was the first one that was not based on any of the book stuff. It's when it started doing its own thing. Ring and Ring 2 are really good, I think. I don't think I'd ever watched Ring 2 before, and I enjoyed it a lot. I thought it was pretty cool. It had some, like... In The Ring, a lot of the creepiness is just from, like, a weird, tense, lonely, melancholy tone to everything. It's just, like, lots of quiet scenes. It just has a certain look. And then, of course, you've got the, like, videotape thing or whatever. And Ring 2 has a similar thing. The Spiral doesn't have that kind of vibe at all, really. Ring 2 has a similar thing, but I feel like the creepiness comes from kind of some weird dream-like sequences. And there's some of it kind of reminded me a little bit of, like, when Nightmare on Elm Street stuff is good, where it just has this, like Wes Craven was always pretty good about, dream sequences, but like weird dream-like creepy atmosphere. And I kind of feel like Ring 2 is good at that.
This not about the ring, but the body bag thing in the first Nightmare on Elm Street was like still to me is like one of the what horror is to me is that part where like the body bag was all bloody and like scooting down the hallway terrified me when I was a kid, you know?
Right. Oh man, the first Nightmare on Elm Street has some great stuff, except for Long Arm Freddy.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's like the one thing.
Yeah. Freddy in general is not all that scary. So,
right.
You know, but yeah.
He was a little bit more mysterious in the first film. I know we're talking about Freddy now all of a sudden, but before he became punchline-y.
Right. Old one-liner Freddy.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like, I don't know, just look, big franchises, looking at the early, it's like Halloween 1 and 2, and then going to Halloween 3. Where there's like, we're going to do a different thing. Where it's like early enough in the franchise where they're not like totally, I mean, they were kind of pigeon-toed into Michael Myers, but where they're not totally like the rules aren't concrete. They're going to do different things. Nightmare on Elm Street 1 and 2. Nightmare on Elm Street 2 is weird. It does some weird stuff with Freddy.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, he is like the dream demon thing, but it's more about him possessing this kid, which is not generally a thing he does in any of the other movies.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, I don't know. It's kind of. Go ahead. Sorry.
I think sorry, it doesn't even matter. Later on, one of the things he wants somebody's kid so that he can take over their body, but that's
right.
You know, different. He only wants a boy, I guess, and usually he ends up fighting chicks.
It's a boy. I kind of hate his delivery sometimes. Like he could be a cheese ball, a hardcore cheese ball.
Indeed.
Anyway, I think my favorite Ring movie is Ring 0. It's great. It's probably the one everyone hates. I don't know, because it's very slow and nothing happens in it, but I love it. It takes place in the 70s. They're like doing a play or filming something, maybe. I don't remember what, but it's like actors. So you got actors in 70s quiet horror movie. Man, that's like my bread and butter for horror.
Mm-hmm. You know, maybe in the future they should always just be like, there's this movie and then its sequel, which is called something completely different. So if it screws up, we can always go back and have a sequel to that movie.
Yeah, I mean, it worked. It worked for in this case. You got Ring. I had never even heard of the Spiral. Yeah, it's because they don't want you to.
Yeah. I want to watch or read the manga for it's not about that, but that one, the Spiraler, is just spirals.
Oh yeah. You know that the super famous. Oh, what is it?
It's super famous, but we don't know what it's called.
I'm so bad with pronouncing.
Just can you throw it up there? The name?
Yes. Let me do that. That's brilliant. We're in a visual medium right now. I need to remember that.
Yeah. You're welcome.
I think it's that, right?
Uzumaki.
Yeah, by Ito.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, that's supposed to be. There is a live action movie based on this. I'm sure it doesn't hold a candle to this, but this is supposed to be just very disturbing and horrifying. And I did watch the live action movie of it once, years and years ago. I don't remember anything about it other than it was super weird. I did not really understand what was going on. So, and that's been our Halloween talk.
Yep.
Rickety rickety wrecked.
Wait, am I sharing this? Okay. What else do we want to talk about? I suppose we could probably wrap this here soon.
Okay. Finishing early. That's amazing.
It is amazing. I wonder if there's any other amazing things we could talk about for a moment.
There is. You know what? Women. So,
They're amazing.
Yeah, they are. A team of researchers led by Elizabeth Reiser and Victoria Babenko of the University of California, Santa Barbara, tracked 30 women through their menstrual cycles, documenting in detail the structural changes that took place in the women's brains as their hormones fluctuated. Their findings haven't been peer-reviewed yet, but they are available on preprint servers, so people can, try to run the same study and make sure that the results keep occurring. Let's see. But the study suggests that structural changes are not limited to the parts of the brain associated with menstruation, but are brain-wide simultaneous changes to human white matter microstructure and cortical thickness, coinciding with menstrual cycle hormonal rhythms. So my favorite part, though, of this whole thing, it was the Science Alert article, is the writers going on a tangent about how there was very little research into something experienced approximately 450 times by half of the population for half of their lives for some reason. That there's not very much research on it. I love that. It was great. But anyway, the results showed that as hormones fluctuated, gray and white matter and cerebral spinal fluid all changed volumes. And it goes actually way more into depth about a lot of it, the different changes and what they are associated with and what it could mean. But I'm not going to go through all that because it would take too long. And in the end, of course, like as usual, more research is necessary. And I hope that there is more because, it would be nice to know what your body's doing all the time, like every day, the normal stuff. If we knew that, that would probably be helpful in our, medical health stuff.
Makes me wonder about like migraines because it seems like, at least in my profession, the female teachers will just get hit with migraines that floor them. And I don't know of too many men that have that same issue. And so it makes me wonder, like, if cerebral fluid is impacted, then,
Yeah, I can think of at least one. I didn't know her super well, but I can think of at least one woman that I've known in my life that would get horrible migraines that definitely seem to be tied to her menstrual cycle.
I don't think they really know entirely how migraines are or work either, because I know there's multiple different kinds of them, and some of them I don't think they really understand fully, but that doesn't really surprise me though. I used to go to a migraine clinic, not about migraines though. It was very weird. My doctor was only in town like he'd be there like 1 month, not for 2 months, and then he'd be back there 1 month. He was like a traveling doctor. It was very strange. Anyway.
Yeah, I think there's a few. I think that's. Yeah, they'll hop between like clinics or whatever.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, even scientists. I know the reason why, even though the menstrual cycles are extremely common with over half of humans, but it's not studied because even scientist men are like, they don't want to deal with that. They're like,
Can we go there? I don't think we can go there. Can we go there? I don't think we should go there.
Yeah.
Well, you know what they say.
What do they say?
No,
Women
I
are
don't.
from Venus, and men are Earthlings.
Oh, is that?
I don't know. No, I was gonna make a joke. Women are aliens. That's it. That's what they say. I don't know what they say.
Well, we may be aliens, but we birthed all of the men. So
That was like the lamest. I'm sorry. That was the lamest attempt at a sexist joke. In the future, I promise I'll be much better about my sexist jokes.
okay. Did you know that all clones are female? Just so you know.
Huh. Like they can't make male clones, or they're not interested in making male clones, or they just can't.
No, because if you were going to clone, no, I'm sorry. I should take that back. All natural clones are females.
What's a natural clone?
Because there are some species where they will have a baby
Oh.
that's just a clone of themselves.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. A lot
Were
of
they
species
kind
do
of
that,
like
actually.
split? Like
Yeah, I guess kind of. It's basically they just take their DNA and they put it into an egg, and then that egg is born, and there's another them.
okay.
Yeah, we're
That
finding more
feels
and more
like the
species
most
that do it.
narcissistic way to reproduce.
It's
Right.
It's how Jurassic Park happened.
You know that documentary, Jurassic Park.
Life finds a way.
Like you know what, and that was the case in that too. Actually, that's how they. Whatever. Michael Crichton. He's science fiction. He always based things kind of on science. So
Lots of animals do it. Alligators
Right.
can do it. So anyway, but now we can clone boys too. Because you guys were jealous and wanted to
Yeah.
be able to clone yourselves.
It's true.
I mean, we can't
So we
clone
had to
a
science
boy.
it up.
What's
Yeah.
the point?
Wow.
I'm practicing. I'm
Practicing.
practicing my misogyny. Is it working?
Oh, cool. Cool.
Oh, yeah, Jesse's on board. I can tell.
That is what we need more of.
Right. Oh man.
So
Thanks. Thanks everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, what I was, sometimes we can wing it and we have lots to say about stuff that nobody wants to hear about, and sometimes we just don't even want to hear about it. So, it happens. They can't all be zingers, as they
Yeah.
say.
Yeah, they
As
say
they-
that.
they said back in the 50s, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, listen.
Those
How many?
singers.
What do we got? How many? Oh, we only got one more week of October.
Oh,
Well, one more Grawlix week of October before it clicks over into November. The not Halloween of the year, along with 11 other or 10 other not Halloweens. Hey, so I don't know. We'll probably talk about either Doctor Who or Loki next week.
Yeah.
One of the two. We'll get caught up.
Yeah. Hopefully you enjoyed Loki this week while we were talking.
Yeah.
Because it drops right when we start. It's so
If
good.
yeah.
if you happen to be here, that's what you missed.
Yeah.
How do you feel? You feel good? Feel good about yourself?
Yeah.
Spend time with this?
Know how you could make yourself feel better. You could go on over to Humble Bundle where there's was it Namco Bandai Humble Bundle where you can get all the old Pac-Man games. That'll make you feel
Oh, right.
better. Yeah. And it's a bunch of other like fight games or whatever. But I was mostly interested in there's a Pac-Man like omnibus of games.
Yeah, there's a
I might just buy it for that. $10 for every Pac-Man ever.
Game Omnibus is a great thing to have. They should have those for sale everywhere.
Yeah. Game
Yeah.
omnibus. Let's do it.
I bought a Humble Bundle this last week, in fact.
Oh.
One of the music ones, because they had my favorite synth plugin maker is Cherry Audio, and they had a Humble Bundle that had 4 Cherry Audio synth plugins in it. I own 3 of them already, but the 4th one never goes on sale for below, I think maybe it's dropped down to like $30, but generally it's never on sale for below $40. And you can get the whole Humble Bundle for $20. And at first I was like, well, I don't need it because I don't really need the other 3. I'll wait till maybe it'll go on sale for like 30, maybe $25. Then I was like, why don't I just spend $20 and get the? Why didn't
you realize like this has never happened in the entirety of my time looking?
Yeah.
I realized I was being real dumb.
And
So
you
I
don't
bought the
have
Humble
to
Bundle.
download the other stuff.
Right. So I have some keys for some synths I'll probably give away to somebody at some point.
There
But
you go.
like, I mean, I already have them. Like, I don't think you have. I don't think there's any benefit to trying to add it to my account. Yeah. So we don't just promote it because we're a humble partner. And if you go to grawlixpodcast.com/humble, that's our affiliate link. It'll redirect you through our affiliate link, and we'll get a little kickback. We're not just promoting it because we also use it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why we promote
kind
it.
of why
is
we
because
did it. Yeah.
we
'Cause I was
were-
buying
yeah.
nonstop Humble Bundles and talking
Yep.
about it every week anyways. Might as well.
Yeah.
Yep. But yeah, I didn't use. No, I can't use. I was gonna say I didn't use our affiliate link though. I don't think I'm allowed to.
Yeah,
but
I don't think you are. Yeah.
my account is the account it's tied to, so I'm definitely not allowed to.
Yeah.
It probably wouldn't even work. Anyway. Yeah, no, good call. Hey, also StreamYard.com if you want a easy way to stream, do a live show, do a live stream like this. Cool little graphics. You can do a webinar. They do webinars. You can record locally, so you can get individual. Like, for example, we can have. You see me and Jesse's faces here. Melanie doesn't have her webcam on, but I can download local recordings of just my video and Jesse's video separately, so I can edit them together properly. Which, if you're recording a podcast to be a video podcast and you have an editor, you need to do that.
right. Yeah.
That's important if you want a good quality show.
Make their lives easier. Come on.
But yeah, StreamYard.com. You can check that out. I recommend it. Again, it's something we use. We've been using this for years, and you might notice I'm kind of pimping it now, but we'd been using it for 2 years before that, so
Yeah.
we really only get tied up with stuff we use.
Right.
Yep.
All right.
And just like that, we stopped talking.
It's also one of those, like, Randy sleeps all crazy. He woke up at an almost kind of normal time, which meant his schedule was completely backwards. So I'm also like not totally on my game.
Oh yeah, I've been doing pretty well in the CPAP. Finally, kind of figured out my mask and everything. And then last night, I must have got up and gone to the bathroom, came back to bed, put the tube back on, and then just laid down and fell asleep. And
Didn't turn
forgot
it back
to
on?
Turn the thing back on. Yeah. So then I woke Holly up with awful snores, like probably worse than normal because probably not getting. I'm getting less air.
Yeah, that
Wearing
is.
the mask and not using it. Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, you put the mask on and then don't turn the machine on. You are getting less air than if you just didn't have it on there.
Right. Yeah. It's actually worse. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm a little more tired than I have been lately because of that. Because I got at least a couple hours where I would have been better off without the mask.
So you notice a difference between?
Oh, I
using
really
it now?
noticed a difference that first week.
Yeah.
It's mellowing out more now. It's kind of like
Right.
when you got your first cup of coffee or whatever, and you're just
Right.
like, coffee's awesome. And then like a couple weeks later, it's like, I have to drink so much coffee before I care.
This just gets me to normal.
Yeah, it just gets me
Yeah.
to baseline. Yeah.
Yeah.
And now it's kind of like CPAP's doing that now, where it's like,
Sure.
okay, well, I feel good, but I just feel like normal good, not almost euphoric good.
Right. Yeah, it definitely becomes that thing where, like, if you forget to turn it on or you forget to put it on or whatever, you kind of notice more so when you don't use it than when you do. But
Right.
all right, well, hey, thanks everybody
Yeah.
for watching. I
Yep.
don't think I'm putting this up on audio, so I guess you could listen to it in the background. Have a good weekend. Man, I'm sure there's Halloween activities happening. Go do some Halloween activities.
Yep.
Right. Watch a movie and tell us about it.
Yeah. This is a pretty one-sided conversation here, guys.
So weird. So weird.
Well, Savannah was doing that, actually.
Yeah.
She was telling us about Be My Cat and...
And she went to a
other
concert. Yeah. There was all
Yeah.
sorts of stuff. So, yeah. Come in to the chat. Tell us about what you're watching. We love that.
We do love that, actually. It's been pretty slow. I think Thursdays is not the hopping night for people anymore, if
Yeah.
it ever really was. But like Paul, for example, he works Thursdays now. That's why Paul's not really around on these. Or Moose, I should say. I guess.
Matty D is probably being a dad. There's probably all sorts of kid dad stuff happening on Thursdays.
See? Okay. There's like cheering outside, which
In your
At
neck of
first-
the woods, that's weird. Yeah. Is it football? What's going on?
seems a little late for football. But at first, it just sounded like horrifying screaming because I have these windows open.
Oh, yeah.
That was a little. I got Halloween activities going on over here. I'm creeping myself out, or the town's creeping me out. Yeah, no, like there's like a high school that's. I don't know that they're at the high school. I'm assuming they are, but it's like a block away from my house. So when they do have football games, yeah, it's
Or when
it's
the
hard to
marching
miss.
band decides to practice in the middle of the
bet.
day, banging down the street. Sorry.
Up and down right in front of the house.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's fun. Yeah.
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 That
Oh,
should be
yeah.
allowed.
Occasionally they have a parade. They had a parade not long ago, but it's when my sleep schedule was all crazy, so I just slept through it all. But they had a parade, and my landlord lady text messaged me and make sure there's no cars. Make sure your cars aren't on the street by come noon. They're gonna have a parade. I was like, okay.
Well, but where else were we supposed to park?
Well, my car never moves, and you were in Omaha already, so
Oh, okay.
we're yeah. I don't know. Another street, I guess.
We should end this. Nobody cares.
They care. They care a lot.
That's why we have so many viewers now.
You're right. We did like devolve. Like I thought it would. I think it was okay, and then it devolved into we're just talking about the little town we live in. Hey, that's worse than when like California people or Los Angeles people get into their nonsense, like talking about the 405 or whatever it is, and this and down here, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Like, dude, nobody.
The high school likes to play the band practices.
Right.
Boy, oh boy, that's something else. You have to move your car.
Do towns just have parades? Do towns just... I'm not stopping the stream yet. Do towns just have parades that go down every street? Because this is at least the third, if not fourth place I've lived where it is not an unusual thing to have a literal parade go in front of my house. Like, is that... I think
There's usually a set
There's
route
usually
that
a
they
route,
take
yeah.
that's down the main street or near the main street. And we're right off the main street, so yeah, it makes sense.
Well, even like in Fremont, right? C Street. C Street ain't no main street. There's a parade that goes down there because it used to
weird.
go down by one of my old places all the time. It's like, why here? This is a residential area. It's so weird.
And it was just a parade. It wasn't like where they were meeting up or ending
Yeah, they
the
usually
parade.
go pretty far.
There is, I think, no, it was a parade because the first couple of times it happened, I was in my 20s or whatever, so maybe I'd been partying or the night before or something. But like, I'd get up and look outside, and there's just like people in my yard with
Dang
lawn.
tuba.
There's just no. It's like it's the people. Really, what got me was the people
setting
lined
up.
along my yard with lawn chairs and kids running around, and I'm like, what is going on out
And they
there?
will set up so early for a parade, man.
Yeah.
It's like they're waiting for the new iPhone, only it's a parade.
But there's a fire station on C Street, so maybe that was part of it.
Oh, yeah.
And then you take the 405, get off on the whatever
Yeah.
turnpike.
You're on that for hours and hours. and
Oh,
hours.
tell me about it.
Oh,
Everyone
boy.
knows about this.
Everybody knows about it.
All right. Happy October continues. Bye, everybody.
Bye bye.
Be safe on the roads.
Yes. and the sidewalks. But if you're supposed to
Don't
be on the
park
road,
there.
don't be on the sidewalk.
Don't park there.
Keep your lawn chairs out of my yard. You
Sure.
can't